Good morning. I'd like to say it's good to be back out at Walnut Hill. The other morning when Kim called, he called me on a Sunday morning, and it kind of startled me a little bit. I thought, man, there must be something wrong. And I called him back real quick, and he was in a hurry, and I was too. And he said, "Can you come next Sunday?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I reckon I can." He said, "Come on, I got to go preach a homecoming." And I thought for a minute, I've come up here and preached about 5 times, and every one of them's been to homecomings. You know what's at homecomings? Food. That's why Kim's there. But anyway, no, I'm glad to be here. It's kind of an odd thing that happened with this message that the Lord gave me. He gave it to me one day when I was walking out of this church house. And I thought, well, that'll be good. I had somewhere to go the next Sunday, and I've got, it's all going to work out. Well, it didn't work out that way. And but when Kim called me, it come back to me, and I couldn't get it off my mind, and I'm just going to do what the Lord tells me to do. And this morning, I want you to know, and I want you to realize one thing. What happened yesterday, we can't take back. Tennessee lost. No. Tennessee lost. Your driver probably didn't win the NASCAR race. Guess what? Your team's going to lose today, but God's still God, folks. And I want you to realize that. But God has a plan for each and every one of us, and I want you to think about this. And over in the book of Genesis, I'm going to read some verses here, and I'm going to start at 1, and I'm going to jump down. And I'll give you a little history about this. There was a man in the Bible, and his name was Lot. And from what I've read and understand, Lot was a very righteous man, and he trusted God, and that God had a plan for him. But back in this time, and this is when Sodom and Gomorrah was going on, there was a lot of evil things going on back then. And just like in today's time, there's a lot of evil things going on. We've got things that this book does not stand for, and they're trying to tell us that it's right. I'm going to tell you right now that they're wrong. And I'm going to tell you why I believe that, because I stand on this book right here that I'm getting ready to read from. And if you're sitting here in the presence of the God this morning, you better be standing on it too. But over in the book, I'm going to start the 19th chapter. I'm going to start the 17th verse. I'm going to read one verse, and I'm going to jump down. It says, "And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, he said, Escape for thy life. Look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plan. Escape to the mountains, lest thou be consumed." And I'm going to hold off right there for just a minute. I want you to know about God's plans here for just a minute. If you want a title for this message or anything like that, I'm going to tell you to just stay the course. What do you mean, stay the course? I mean, when God tells you to move, move. When God tells you to sit, sit. When God tells you to sing, sing. When God tells you to do the least little thing, you better do it. I'm going to tell you the reason why that all this has come to me, and has come to me in this way. And I've told you this before. I was 22 years old, and come Thursday, I'm going to be 42 years old. Believe it or not, I'm going to be 42 years old, Missy. Can you believe that when me and Brent and Jake was running around at your house, that I would be the one to make it to 42, because I was very clumsy. I fell all the time. I got hurt all the time. But when I was 22 years old, God called me to preach. He called me to preach sitting on the front porch of my granny's house. This is where he called me to preach at. You know what I was doing when he called me to preach? I was eating a fried apple pie. And my granny spoke to me, and she said, "You got to stay the course." And I was struggling with that. But you know what I done? I ate my pie and I run. I hit the high road. I said, "Nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to stand and preach. I'm not going to be the one that I had all these cousins, and I guess as the me and Kim, and we're all kin, but me and Kim was the only two that had stepped out and would have been called to preach. I said, them other guys can do it, because they'd be a lot better at it than what I would be. But God told me right then, he said, I've got a plan for you. Just stay the course. So I tried to go on my course and not on God's. And I'm going to tell you what, for 8 years of my life, you want to talk about a bumpy road. It was rough for this old boy. But thank God for His mercy and His grace that He let me come back. I'm going to read one other thing right here, and I'm going to come to a close here in just a minute. In the 24th verse, it said, Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And He overthrew those cities and all the plan and all the habitations of the city, and of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became as a pillar of salt. That's Lot's wife now. I'm going to explain something here to you for just a minute. God had a plan for Lot and his family to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah. God had a plan for them. God's got a plan for you here this morning. I want you to understand that. Well, I'm not where I want to be. Guess what? It ain't about you. It's about God and what He has for you to do. Because let me tell you, in a moment, a twinkling of an eye, you're gone. Amen. We're not promised tomorrow, folks. We're not. Stay on course. Stay on God's plan. When He says move, go. But the thought of staying on course is that if Lot's wife would have just kept looking ahead. You know what causes us to fall from the glory of God more than anything? Looking back. Well, I've done this, and I've done that, and I've done this. I'm going to tell you a little secret. The person you're sitting right beside of probably has done the same thing. And it's sin. And I'm going to tell you this. I've sinned and come short many times. Amen. And I'm going to tell you another secret. Your pastor has too. Your song leader has. Your deacons has. But if you stay the course and keep looking ahead, God will bless you. Luke Bryant sings a song, and I'm not a Luke Bryant fan, but I like this. Don't worry about nothing, but pray about everything. Took me 30-some years to figure that out. I was never the smartest one in the crowd, but I was always the most hard-headed one in the crowd. If you stay the course and listen to God, He will take care of you. He will. So we're getting ready to come to a close. This morning, Walnut Hill, stay the course. Amen. That's the advice that I would give you. There's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of things that you can say. But if it ain't of God, leave it alone. Had a man talk to me here just back of this. He said, Preacher, he said, I want to get my kids into church. He said, I never went to church with them when they was younger and in church. Now I'm in church and they're out. He said, what do I need to do? I said, you need to do the same thing for them that they done for you. He said, what's that? I said, you just need to pray for them. Amen. And quit worrying about the past. Because the past will bring you down. And guess what? The devil, that's where he wants you to be. If you want to live for God, keep looking ahead. Don't look behind you. Because guess what? You can't change yesterday. We can't change that Tennessee got beat. We can't change that Kyle Larson didn't win the race. Yeah, I got that just a minute ago. But you know what we can change? We can change the future. But God's got a plan for it. I'm not telling you just to go out here and drag you husbands and your wives and your kids and beat them into the church, because if you got to beat them here, they ain't going to get nothing when they get here. But if you'll pray for them with an earnest prayer and stay the course, God will do the rest. And let God do that work.